4th edition of Weekly Digest, a government information agency program that keeps you informed on what the administration has been doing that will create a better environment for citizens. I'm your host, Ursula Ramdale. Thank you for joining us. In this week's presentation for the period December 20 to 27, 2014, confidence continues to be shown in the local economy, Clean Up My Country has been deemed a success, and a cruise ship makes third trip to destination Guyana. In keeping with the spirit of Christmas, government officials spread out to different areas extending holiday cheer to underprivileged children and senior citizens. Beginning early in December, the First Lady Foundation held a series of Christmas parties distributing gifts to hundreds of children in the Blackbush Polder, Linden, Bartica and Kumaka areas. The latest function on December 20th saw State House coming alive with peals of laughter and the sound of little voices singing carols as 600 children were feted. That same day, 400 North Georgetown children were hosted by the Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Jennifer Webster, at a Christmas party at the North Rheinfeldt Multilateral School. The under 13 children were treated to goodies and received gifts from Santa Claus.
I feel that at Christmas time, it is a time for us to, whilst the meaning of Christmas is keeping Christ in Christmas, it's also a time when we share with those who really we need to take care of and to show them that we really care.
The Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment's Protected Areas Commission, PAC, held its first Christmas Family Festival and second Christmas tree light-up at the National Park on December 19, where families were treated to gifts from Santa and his helpers. The children also enjoyed fun games at the event. It was a happy occasion for the several senior citizens of Region 10 and Sophia, as Minister within the Ministry of Finance, Juan Edghill, visited the communities and delivered hampers.
It's nice that the Comrade Edghill could be enlightening us with gifts and with hampers and so on. I pray and ask that the work he continue the good work that he's doing in this area. I am very pleased with him, what he's doing.
I'm very glad to see Brother Edghill. I call him Brother Edghill around, and I trust that he will continue. You cannot please everybody, but what the Lord has laid upon your heart and to do, you do it with all your might. I wish all the best. I wish that you'll continue to come in this community and just to help the persons that need help in this community, so that we can help ourselves. We get the tools and we're gonna help ourselves.
Meanwhile, a fun day held at the Santa Rosa Parish in Region 1 to raise funds to aid the restoration of the parish building also served as a community get-together in celebration of Christmas. Minister Sukai, who was in attendance, provided toys for the children. More confidence is being demonstrated in the local economy as Jax Aviation and member of the BK Group of companies commissioned a US $4 million M28 Skytruck aircraft.
Minister of Public Works Robson Ben and Minister of Tourism Acting Irfan Ali welcomed the addition to the local aviation sector as they both lauded the initiative. Minister Ali, in brief remarks, said that none of the recent gains would have been possible were it not for the visionary thinking that saw the creation of the Ogle Airport in its current configuration.
What we see today here is linked heavily to the other transformation that is taking place in Guyana. This outlines to us why the Marriott is so important, why development of a world-class facility like the Marriott Hotel is important for the expansion of the tourism sector.
Meanwhile, Minister Ben lauded the Tiwari family for their reinvestment into Guyana's futuristic development and encouraged others to do the same. This example, he said, should be followed by Guyanese regardless of their ethnic, religious or cultural belief, as they should not stand on the sidelines and let development pass them by.
What this represents intrinsically is that here is a Guyanese corporate family grouping that is steadily investing in its country, in the futuristic development of its country. That is what is important, that they are reinvesting the gains they have made by their other activities in the country are being plowed back into the country to further develop our country. This is what is important, and this is what we should take note of.
The US $4 million M28 Skytruck is described as a workhorse. It has the capability to carry 2.5 tons of cargo, multipurpose capability, and short takeoff and landing ability, making it an invaluable asset to the aviation sector. The aircraft is used for a variety of roles in the USA, Colombia, Venezuela, Nepal, Indonesia, and Vietnam, and in Poland, where it is manufactured.
During the year 2014, Guyana received a lot of exposure internationally, both as tourist destination and a country with a growing economy, allowing for more marketing of Destination Guyana.
Guyana's recognition came through a series of activities held throughout the year. These include the International British Birdwatching Fair, which was held in England and saw over 35 international birdwatching companies selling Guyana. The Ministry of Tourism launched the Guyana Homecoming 2015 initiative, which is a special plan to bring back at least 100,000 or 10% of the overseas-based Guyanese to enjoy all the country has to offer. Destination Guyana's logo, along with Guyana South America Undiscovered, was also unveiled.
So we are going to launch in all the major capitals around the world where we have large number of Guyanese, and that happens to be a number of capitals around the world. The Guyana Homecoming 2015 campaign. We are working with airlines, local operators, and TAG in designing this marketing strategy to ensure that we bring back home as much Guyanese as possible. And if we can just get 10% of the Guyanese we have out there, we will be able to bring at least 100,000 persons home 2015 in this singular initiative. And that is an initiative that we'll be working assiduously on. And we'll be unveiling the logo for Guyana Homecoming 2015. We have also rebranded ourselves. You know, in this market, you have to learn, unlearn, and then re-strategize. And in our new brand, we're offering you the best of two worlds in one destination. Remember that. We're offering you the best of two worlds in one destination. We're offering you an authentic South American experience with a truly Caribbean flair. So our new logo would have the brand Guyana South America Undiscovered. And this has been tested internationally, and it is a brand and a tagline that has the greatest attraction to international tourists. So it speaks about a truly authentic Amazonian experience with a great Caribbean flair. And you will see all our ads, all our promotion going into this direction. And tonight you'll have the unveiling of the logo itself, our new tourism logo. Guyana, South America Undiscovered. What are you waiting for? Come discover us.
The two safaris held during the year, the Pacaraima and South Rupununi safaris, helped to further propel Guyana as a viable tourist destination. The country, along with its tourism potential, also received a lot of exposure at the inaugural Guyana Festival, which featured a mixture of the country's traditional music, dance, food, art, and craft.
Meanwhile, international cruise liner Vista Mar made its third voyage to Guyana, bringing 320 tourists.
The ship, which arrived in Royamville, Georgetown on December 24, has a carrying capacity of 400, with 320 passengers on board. Passengers were given the opportunity to go sightseeing around Georgetown, to visit the Essequibo River and the Kaieteur Falls, among other places. The crew was welcomed by Director of the Guyana Tourism Authority, Indranath Haralsingh, who encouraged them to visit again, as the trend seems to be every 2 years.
We want to officially welcome you on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Tourism, who unfortunately could not be here, Irfan Ali. So he asked me to convey to you and to the captain his welcome to Guyana. And we hope that you will continue to visit. I know a lot of passengers went on tours of the city and Kaieteur Falls and the Essequibo River. The Essequibo River is actually the third largest river in South America as well. And so again, we are very, very happy to have you. And we are hoping that you will, if not come every 2 years, the trend has been 2 years, 2010, 2012, and now 2014. If you can come back again next year.
Government has been working to create an enhanced environment and has been marketing the country as a destination of choice or a transit point.
Stay tuned. More of the Weekly Digest after the break.
Guyana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2015. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered. In an effort to respond more promptly to citizens, the Home Affairs Ministry has launched an online crime reporting system which allows citizens who possess or have access to cell phones, computers or other devices with internet connections to report criminal activities. Citizens can get instant access to security personnel on BlackBerry Messenger via 280-4E429. Reports of corruption can also be made on www.ipaidthebribe.com. These reports can be made anonymously.
Guyana as a tourist destination continues to receive international acclaim. The reputable National Geographic Traveler has named Destination Guyana as one of the must-see places in 2014. The renowned magazine said Guyana is the best-kept secret in South America with stunning natural wonders. This year, increased focus will be placed on enhancing the standards within the industry, focusing on tourism products and services, multi-destination itinerary planning, events management, ecotourism, and sustainable principles and guidelines, as well as a grading scheme which will be developed for the industry.
You are with the Weekly Digest. The Clean Up My Country initiative has been a major success for 2014, and to maintain the cleanliness, government is embarking on initiatives to ensure the city and other parts of the country remain a litter-free zone.
Several areas of Georgetown now boast better aesthetics as a result of government's cleanup initiative. $1 billion was allocated in the 2014 national budget for the initiative, of which $500 million was for the cleanup of Georgetown. Most of the earmarked communities have already been spruced up, while a few of them will be completed before the year ends. Additionally, $100 million was allocated to clean up Le Repentir Cemetery, where commendable works were done. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Norman Whitaker said this initiative was carried out by government as a result of the mismanagement by the incumbent mayor and city council that led to a decadent and filthy city.
Having expended $1 billion, you know what that means? It means that we relieved the city council and a number of NDCs of not the responsibility, but of the work that we did working with the community.
The Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development has put several measures in place to address the issue of littering while promoting a healthier environment for citizens. The ministry has procured 1 low-bed trailer, 5 mini excavators, and 45 trailers under the Regional Clean Up My Country program. Further, as it relates to the regional aspect of work, 130 skip metal bins and 45,500 metal bins have been procured for distribution countrywide.
Child protection is an important aspect of the human services sector. The Child Care and Protection Agency has been playing a critical role in looking after the welfare of the nation's children, and in 2014, the agency successfully carried out its mandate. With the Child Care and Protection Agency celebrating 5 years as an agency where there is focus on collaboration in the provision of services for vulnerable children across Guyana and the family assistance and support to reduce the number of children in need of alternative care during the year.
At present, there are more than 800 children in residential care, with approximately 250 in state care centers, and the remaining 500 are in 19 privately managed children's homes and orphanages.
With a total of 153 applications for adoption, with 121 being sought for approval, the CPA facilitates cases through the Adoption Board. Meanwhile, government has been promoting foster care with 203 children within that program.
This year, training was conducted for 45 new foster parents, together with the 126 other standing foster parents who we have in communities of Linden, Georgetown, East and West Coast Berbice.
To facilitate permanently plans for foster care where it is not possible for children to be united with their biological parents, 9 cases were referred for adoption. Efforts were also made for children to visit parents who were incarcerated. The agency also sought to improve the skills of persons who were in foster care so that they can enjoy jobs. The Labor Ministry continues to work to guarantee workers their rights and to assure them that their complaints were being addressed. In 2014, a total of 1,244 complaints were lodged with the ministry, of which 821 or 66% of those were resolved. While in 2014 more complaints were lodged, less were closed nominally, and this was due to the fact that many of the complaints were related to the mining industry. Further, of the 1,244 complaints, only 24 or 1.9% were related to non-payment of wages below the national minimum wage. Out of the complaints, a sum of $31.5 million was recovered on behalf of workers, representing $4.2 million for annual leave, $1 million for overtime, terminal benefits $12 million, wages $13 million, and $18.2 million for complaints being in the pipeline. During the course of 2014, $49.7 million was received on behalf of workers filing cases with the ministry. The ministry did a fantastic job in recouping benefits for workers. In addition to these, the sums collected represented out-of-court settlements against employers, and the number filed in 2014 was 141. The number of matters closed was 38, and the number of employers taken to court in 2014 totaled 57. The number of charges was 362 in 2014, with 130 cases pending and filed, including paying wages, failure to give severance pay in lieu of notice, grant leave with pay, and small national minimum wages offer.
Despite challenges, the government of Guyana continued its foreign policy agenda of advancing bilateral relations with CARICOM sister states, its hemispheric neighbors, and those in the general international arena during 2014. This was in keeping with its role of advancing the nation's friendship and maintaining international peace while furthering its domestic agenda.
Not unlike previous years, the ministry continued to implement the foreign policy of Guyana, guided by the following priorities, and I would like to list these. The preservation of Guyana's sovereignty and territorial integrity, the maintenance of sound relations with our neighboring states, the strengthening of relations with Latin America and the Caribbean, but also while we work with our traditional friends, we also seek to build new relationships with other countries. And also the intensification of the country's role as a proactive player in international affairs, facilitation of initiatives towards the achievement of sustained economic development through the promotion of trade and investment.
With regards to the promotion of bilateral cooperation and strengthening relations with other countries, Latin America and the Caribbean have been high on the ministry's priority. In this regard, Chile, one of the shining lights in Latin America, announced the establishment of an embassy in Guyana, for which works are ongoing and are expected to be completed during 2015. This country will join Mexico and Argentina, which recently established a diplomatic presence in the country.
We're very happy with this development. Chile is one of the shining lights in Latin America and the Caribbean. In fact, I was just reading a report that it should attain developed country status within a matter of years. Some have already indicated that based on the GDP per capita, which is something very controversial for us, that it has already, in fact, achieved developed country status. In that sense, we have a lot to learn from Chile. But it's also a growing presence of Latin American countries in Guyana, and it shows and demonstrates the strategic importance of Guyana, not only as a bridge between the Caribbean and South America per se, but also as, I would say, growing in stature in Latin America.
The ministry has also been working to strengthen relations with Turkey, a member of the G20 group. During the year, a team from Turkey Development Agency visited Guyana, and there was approval of medium-sized projects in education, health, and agriculture. The ministry sought to work with Georgia in terms of the specialization of medical practitioners and offered a number of scholarships to persons for 2015. Guyana and Fiji also established diplomatic relations in 2014.
Stay tuned, more of the Weekly Digest after the break.
Ghana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2015. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in the 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered.
This was Guyana just over 2 decades ago. Bankrupt, its people despondent, collapsing social and physical infrastructure. Second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. No housing program. Production at its lowest level. 94% of every dollar serviced external debt. From the dawn of a new era, enter a new Guyana. This is our Guyana now, blooming.
And now for perspectives with Dr. Prem Misir.
The Stabroek News and the Kaieteur News consistently present letter writers and columnists who seemingly have a mandate from these newspapers to bash the PPPC government. It is not a case where the letter writers and columnists investigate a matter and then disseminate their findings through the media. The letter writers and columnists' content contains largely negatives against the government, with very little objectivity, I should say. their content indicates that this government has accomplished nothing for the people of Guyana. Indeed, the government has a long list of accomplishments of which it can boast. However, given that in the main these letter writers and columnists are bashing the government on almost a daily basis and favoring the opposition, then they are political activists for the combined opposition, APNU and AFC, as they rarely say anything critical against the combined opposition. And Stabroek News and Kaieteur News use these letter writers and columnists to peddle many untruths against the government. But some would argue that the Guyana Chronicle does the same thing, in that it consistently criticizes the combined opposition. Well, the Guyana Chronicle is the state's newspaper, and so it will have to bear that burden of wholly supporting the government, even if you could call it a burden. It's part of their responsibility. But you see, the Stabroek News and Kaieteur News boast about being independent newspapers. The Stabroek News and Kaieteur News are not independent. They are private newspapers, totally working in the interest of the combined opposition. In this sense, these newspapers are part of the new opposition. New opposition. On another front, the Stabroek News and Kaieteur News, through their letter writers and columnists, are now revisiting the untested notion that the government is a dictatorship. Again, this idea that this government is dictatorial does not stand up to rigorous test. It is clear that these agents of the Stabroek News and Kaieteur News falsely present Guyana as a totalitarian dictatorship, where, if that is the case, then by definition, the government would use maximum intervention to control the economic and social lives of the Guyanese people, and that would include the media as well. Ask ordinary Guyanese if the government controls their lives, and the answer will be a resounding no. And also, the government does not control what the media puts out, or what the media put out. In addition, if the government is a totalitarian dictatorship, implying that it controls people, why then is this dictatorship not totally stopping the newspapers from constantly engaging in criticisms against the government? The Stabroek News and Kaieteur News have freedom to present their news and express their opinions. At least when I last checked, their freedom exists, as their negatives against the government still keep pouring in day after day. The PPPC government has rekindled the reality of freedom of the press in Guyana, which is now subject to abuse. I thank you very much.
And with those features, we have come to the end of this edition of Weekly Digest. But before we go, here's a recap of the highlights. Confidence continues to be shown in the local economy. Clean Up My Country has been deemed a success, and the cruise ship makes third trip to destination Guyana. Please note that Weekly Digest and other government information can be found on our website www.gina.gov.gy, or you can send us your comments and suggestions at ginagovgy@gmail.com. Join us again next week as we highlight more of the government's programs and policies that are aimed at enhancing the lives of citizens. I'm Ursula Ramdale. Do have a safe week ahead. Goodbye.